Imagine you fled unspeakable horror. You've reached what you think is safety and you're promised a better life. But that promise? It's a lie. In June of 1979, this happened to tens of thousands of Cambodian refugees, and their journey to safety turned into an absolute death march. Today, we're going to talk about a forgotten chapter of history, the Pra Vihear pushback. Just let that sink in for a second. This quote from the New York Times really sets the stage. We're talking about an event so horrifying that it broke people who thought they'd seen it all. This isn't just a political footnote, it's a human catastrophe.
So that leads us to the big question we're tackling in this explainer. How on earth did a promise of safety in Thailand turn into a death trap for 45,000 men, women, and children? Well, the answer is a twisted story of deception, Cold War politics, and just unimaginable cruelty.
It all starts with a lie. A carefully crafted, terrible lie. In June 1979, the Cambodian refugees in a camp called Nong Chan were told some amazing news. But what sounded like a rescue was actually the beginning of a nightmare.
Here's exactly how it went down. First, they were told, hey, we're moving you to a much better camp. So, filled with hope, they all got on these 110 buses. But the buses didn't go to another camp. They drove for hours and hours, deep into the remote mountains on the Thai-Cambodian border. And that's where the promise just vanished. At gunpoint, Thai soldiers forced everyone off the buses and right over a steep, dangerous cliff, back into the very country they had just risked everything to escape. And the place they were forced into, it wasn't just some random jungle. It was a natural fortress of death, a place that would quickly earn a truly terrifying name.
Okay, let's get our bearings here. Look at this map. The Dang Rak Mountains are basically a massive natural wall between Thailand and Cambodia. The refugees were dumped in this one specific, super dangerous spot right near the ancient Pra Vihear temple. We're talking remote, unforgiving, and miles away from any help.
And this is what they were forced into. Think about it. Steep, jungle cliffs. The ground was literally seeded with thousands of landmines from years of war. There was no food, no clean water, nothing. And if you tried to climb back up into Thailand, Thai soldiers were waiting to shoot you. Survivors said all you could hear were screams for help echoing through the jungle as people died from explosions, starvation, and sickness. That's how the place got its name, Phnom Khmauch, or Ghost Mountain. A survivor, Dr. Quach Mengli, put it this way, and it's just haunting. You could turn back and face bullets, or go forward and face landmines, or try to survive in a jungle with wild animals. There was no escape. There were no good choices. It was just a death sentence with options.
So why were all these people on the border in the first place? To really get why this pushback happened, we have to quickly zoom out and look at the absolute chaos that was swallowing Cambodia at the time.
It all happened incredibly fast. At the end of '78, Vietnam invades Cambodia to overthrow the monstrous Khmer Rouge regime. That kicks off a whole new wave of war and starvation, and hundreds of thousands of Cambodians fled towards the Thai border. By March, Thailand feels totally overwhelmed, so it closes the border and starts this policy it actually called humane deterrence. Just 3 months later, that policy leads directly to the horror on Ghost Mountain.
And here's a really critical legal detail. Thailand made a point of not calling these people refugees, because if they were refugees, they'd have rights under international law. Instead, they were labeled illegal immigrants. It was a deliberate choice of words to avoid any legal obligation to help them.
Which brings us right back to that big question. Why? Why would Thailand do something so brutal? The official answers don't tell the whole story. It's a messy mix of stated reasons and much deeper geopolitical games. Let's unpack it. Okay, so officially, Thailand said it was about the financial burden and national security. But let's dig a little deeper. The whole financial burden thing seems a bit weak when you see that the crisis actually brought over $350 million in international aid into Thailand. And national security? Well, that was really about Cold War politics. Thailand was quietly helping anti-Vietnamese groups, including what was left of the Khmer Rouge. And then there's this other theory, a possible revenge motive. The pushback happened right near the Preah Vihear temple, which an international court had taken from Thailand and given to Cambodia back in 1962. And I mean, this just lays the deception bare. A top Thai official actually claimed this was the safest point for them. But the people on the ground, the survivors, they knew the truth. It was a death trap, a minefield at the bottom of a cliff. Those two realities just can't exist together. This chart really puts that money argument into perspective. We're talking $350 million flowing into Thailand because of the refugee crisis. The UN's relief agency alone was spending almost its entire budget inside the country. So yes, it was a huge challenge, but it was also a massive economic boom for the border regions. You can't keep a secret this big forever. As news of what happened on Ghost Mountain started to leak out, the world reacted with absolute horror and outrage. And the human toll was just staggering. According to a UN report from that time, of the roughly 42,000 people who were forced over that cliff, at least 3,000 died, and another 7,000, well, their fate is just unknown. They simply vanished into the jungle and the minefields. This international outrage was the game changer. The pushback was so unbelievably brutal that it forced the world to finally pay attention. The quiet, awful policy of humane deterrence was now a very loud, very public scandal. And that scandal led to immediate action. The UN called an emergency meeting. Just a few months after the pushback, with the whole world watching, Thailand completely reversed course and officially opened its borders. And, maybe most importantly, Western countries finally stepped up and promised to resettle hundreds of thousands of refugees. And they followed through. In 1980 alone, more than 250,000 refugees were resettled from camps in the region. It was this massive humanitarian effort that was born directly out of the tragedy at Preah Vihear. This image, this is the result. This is the new reality. Instead of being forced into minefields, refugees were now in these huge, internationally funded camps in Thailand, waiting for a new home. It was far from perfect, for sure, but it was a world away from the horror of Ghost Mountain. So, what do we take away from all this? The story of Ghost Mountain is a chilling case study of a timeless problem. What happens when a country's national interests, whether they're about security or money or politics, smash up against our basic human duty to help people in desperate need? It forces us to ask a tough question. Who is it that always ends up paying the ultimate price?